I was driving home from work that night and it was snowing a little. Not like a blizzard or anything, but enough that I was driving slower than usual. And it was really cold too, like definitely below freezing. I got out of work super late. I think it was 3 a.m. The roads were pretty much empty the whole drive. I was pulling up to this red light and just sitting there. No other cars were around. I was just staring ahead and thinking about going home and getting straight to bed. Then all of a sudden there was a knock on my truck. I jumped and looked over the passenger window. There was a woman standing there, just knocking on the glass and looking right at me, which was weird because I hadn't seen anyone there at all before that. It felt like she just kind of appeared. I rolled the window down a little, and she started apologizing right away. She looked young, maybe mid or late 20s. Her face looked really cold and pale. She said she didn't want to bother anyone, but her car had broken down maybe a mile back and she tried to walk home, then realized how freezing it actually was. She asked if I could give her a ride, said she only lived like another mile down the road. I thought it sounded believable enough. Nothing about it really set any alarms off right away, so I felt bad for her and told her to get in. Once we started driving, she kept thanking me. Then after a couple of minutes, she told me to turn into this neighborhood. I passed that area all the time on my way to work, but I'd never actually driven through it. I didn't know anything about it really. As soon as I turned in though, it felt kinda off. The houses were really small and old looking. Some of them even looked like trailer homes. Everything looked kinda run down, and the road was bad too. It clearly hadn't been plowed properly, if at all. The farther we went, the worse it looked. After a little bit, my truck started struggling. Not fully stuck or anything, but enough for me to notice. I looked farther down and realized I really don't want to keep going. So I slowed down and asked her if this was close enough for her to get out. When I looked at her, she looked irritated for a second, like she was frowning. Then she noticed me looking and sort of changed it to a smile. She asked if I could go a little further. I hesitated. Then she asked me again, but not as nicely. I told her I didn't want to risk getting my truck stuck down there, which was true. It was late, it was snowing, and I really didn't want to get stranded in some neighborhood I didn't know. But she kept pushing, kind of trying to make me feel bad about it. At that point, I was just done with it. I said no and told her she needed to get out. She looked at me angry, not even annoyed, just straight up angry. She opened the door and got out. I thought that was really strange, because I had just stopped and helped her out in the middle of the night, and she was acting like I was the problem because I wouldn't drive right up to her door. So I started doing a 3-point turn, and while I was turning around, my headlights swung across the side of the road, towards the houses and the tree line further back, and that's when I saw people standing there. Hard to tell how many exactly. They were further up near where she had been trying to get me to go, just standing there, and it looked like she was heading towards them. As soon as I saw that, I just wanted out of there. I didn't sit and think too much about it. I finished turning around and left as fast as I could without getting stuck. I'm still not sure what that was, but the whole drive home I just kept thinking about how it could have gone really badly if I had driven a little further, or if my truck had gotten stuck in the snow. I really don't know what would have happened, which still kind of bothers me when I think about it. This happened when I got my first girlfriend when I was like 17. I was still living with my mom back then, since my parents divorced when I was like 11. We both had jobs. I worked at a grocery store and she worked at a Starbucks. We had the same kind of day shifts. We were both seniors as well, so we didn't have much free time with work and school combined. I remember it was a Friday when I asked her to go out, just because we didn't have much homework, so it felt like a good day to actually do something. After work, I picked her up from her house. We went to this small restaurant, like 10 minutes from mine. Nothing special, just what I could afford at the time. We ate and talked a bit. Then we went back to her house and just hung out for a bit. It got dark pretty quick. She mentioned the date felt kinda short, which it was. I remember telling her I didn't really have the money to go anywhere else, so we just agreed to go on a drive instead. We drove around town for a while, then somehow ended up on this empty road in the woods. Eventually the pavement just ended, turned into a dirt road. At some point I felt that I had to stop to pee, cause I couldn't hold it anymore. When I told her, she said that she had to go as well, so I pulled over. When we got out of the car, there was a smell, like really bad. Can't really describe it, just off. I kinda brushed it off though. I figured maybe someone else had stopped there for the same reason earlier or something. She actually gagged, which made it feel worse. I told her, let's just go quick and get back into the car. There was this flat area nearby, so we went there, did our thing, then started walking back. On the way back, we heard something to the left, like a twig snapping. Just one sharp sound. I remember thinking it was probably an animal, so we just started walking faster. Right before I opened my car door, we heard the scream. It came from behind us, from where we had just been. It didn't sound normal. I told her to stay in the car while I go check it out. She insisted that I just drive, but I still went. I don't even know why, honestly. I was maybe 12 feet from where we did our thing. Then I heard the scream again. Closer. That's when I lost the nerve to keep going. I was just standing there for a second, not really knowing what I was doing. It sounded like it was coming more from the direction of the twig sound, not exactly where we were. So instead of walking further, I just pulled my phone out, and I took a picture with the flash on. When the flash went off, I saw a guy in a white shirt with black stripes. There was something blue in front of him, like a tarp or something. He was just standing there, not moving. I didn't really process it fully. I just ran, got back in the car, locked the doors, and drove. She kept asking me what happened. She could tell I was scared, but I just said I would explain later. We got back into town. I did a few circles around her neighborhood just trying to calm down. Then we went back to her house. We went into her room, and I told her what I saw. I showed her the picture too. She got quiet. I stayed the night at hers, because neither of us wanted to be alone. I think about this from time to time. I don't really know what to think of that incident. It's been 5 years. We're not together anymore, but we're still good friends. I was driving home from my friend's place. He lived like an hour away from me. It was late in the night, around 1 or 2 a.m., and I was really tired. I was honestly debating to stay over, but I would have had to call off work, and that just wasn't really an option. Most of the drive was through farmland, just empty roads and fields. I had music on, mostly just trying to stay awake. I was kind of zoning out, staring at the road. Then maybe 20 minutes in, my headlights hit something in the middle of the road. I slowed down really fast and hit the brakes harder than I meant to. It was a suitcase, like a full suitcase just standing upright. For a second I just stared at it. I was just tired and confused, and then I swerved in the other lane and just went around it. I wasn't about to get out of my car and move it. I remember thinking it must have fallen out of someone's truck or something. I couldn't think of any reason it would have been there. It was odd though, just standing up like that. I kept driving, but maybe 5 minutes later something else showed up in my headlights. This time it was a truck parked in the middle of the lane. No lights on, no blinkers, nothing. If I didn't have my high beams on, I probably would have hit it. So I stopped behind it and waited for a second. The truck didn't move at all. I didn't see any movement inside either. At least not that I could tell from where I was. After maybe 30 seconds, I just started slowly going around it. When I passed it, I noticed that it had pretty big dents and scrapes on the side. I couldn't tell if it had just been in some accident or if it just was an old beat-up truck. But the weirdest thing about it was no one was inside. It was dark through the window, so I guess I can't say for sure, but I didn't see any shape of anyone in the front or the back. I pulled back into my lane and slowed down a little more, kind of looking around, and still it was just farmland everywhere, nothing there. Why would someone leave their truck parked right there out in the road? I just had a bad feeling about it. I was definitely creeped out at this point, even if I was trying not to overthink it. I kept thinking about the suitcase and the truck and whether they were connected somehow, or if it was all just random. I never saw anyone walking back for the suitcase or anything like that. Then maybe a minute later, I had to stop again. There was a man standing in the road, waving his arms for me to stop. He looked maybe early 40s, I'd guess. Kind of disheveled, messy hair, cuts and scrapes on his hands and arms. Just looked rough, basically. When I stopped, he smiled and came up to my window. He asked, "Hey, did you see that truck not too far back that way?" I said, "Yeah." Then he asked if I could give him a ride back to it. Immediately something felt wrong. Before I answered, I asked why it was parked in the road like that, and what was he doing out there. He kinda stumbled over his words for a second. Then he said that he ran out of gas and was trying to walk to a gas station. But that didn't really make sense, because if he was trying to get to a gas station, why would he want me to drive him back to the truck? Wouldn't he ask me for a ride to the gas station instead? He kept talking though, kinda quickly, like he didn't want me to have time to think. While he was talking, I looked past him and noticed something in the crops off to the side of the road. At first I wasn't even sure what I was looking at. Then I realized it looked like the back end of a small car. It was pretty far in the crops. I could only really see one rear light catching some of the reflection from my headlights. At that point, I knew something was wrong. I didn't know what exactly, but it was bad. I rolled up my window, and as soon as I did that, his face changed. He stopped smiling, his eyes got really wide, and he started yelling and hitting at the window. I just drove off as quickly as I could. After driving about a mile, I got my phone out and called the cops. I found out later the truck was gone when they got there, but the car in the crops was still there, and it was worse than I thought. It was someone else's car, and the driver was not alive. Not from a crash either. From what I got, they think the driver probably picked up a hitchhiker, which was most likely that guy, and that was the last thing he did. They assumed the suitcase and the truck were part of getting someone to stop. I don't know if that was ever fully confirmed though. The whole thing about him running out of gas was obviously not true. It seems like it was just some random violent guy doing all of this for no reason. But what stuck with me the most was how close I was to letting him into my car. The man was never identified.